Hello students, today we are going to study the chapter Ecosystem. As the word suggests, ecosystem, firstly, the term was introduced by Hensley in 1935. Next, we'll see what is ecosystem. An ecosystem, total sum of biotic and abiotic factors. When they combine, they form an ecosystem in a particular place. The both components of ecosystem are interlinked and interdependent. Next, a term known as we're going to study a term known as biotope. This is a biotic community living in a abiotic environment. So we can call a biotic community, that is living organisms living in a biotic environment, a biotope. This is an important term. Next, we'll study the structure of ecosystem. Structure of ecosystem mainly comprises of two components which we have studied, the biotic component and abiotic component. As we all know, the biotic component comprises of living components and abiotic comprises of non-living components. The living component mainly here we are going to study are producers. As we are all aware of this, producers are ultimately plants which producers maybe they are the autotrophs which synthesize their food themselves. Producers or the autotrophs can be photoautotroph or chemoautotroph. Next, the main component of ecosystem biotic components are the consumers. Consumers will discuss here the heterotrophs which cannot synthesize their food themselves. Heterotrophs which cannot synthesize their food themselves and depends upon the producers for their food requirement. On the basis of consumer, we can further categorize the consumer. First is primary consumer, which directly feed on the producers. So we can call these herbivores. Nextly, the secondary consumer, which eat the primary consumers, that is the animal, so they are known as carnivores. Next, the tertiary consumer, which will feed the secondary consumers. Next, quaternary, consumers, and the last we'll call top consumers. So next we'll study the biotic component is decomposers. As we all know, the decomposers comprises mainly of bacteria and fungus. They will feed on dead and decay. They will feed on dead and decay organic material. So these are the main biotic components: producers, consumers, and the decomposers. Now, in short, we'll discuss about the abiotic components. So the abiotic components will be: first is inorganic substance. The inorganic substance will contains the mineral elements like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, water, carbon dioxide, calcium, phosphorus, etc. Next, the abiotic components are organic substances. Organic substances are the mainly biomolecules like carbohydrate, protein, fat, lipids, nucleic acid. Now, the third main component of abiotic are climatic factors, which will be included in the environmental factors, and edaphic factors. Here, the edaphic word is used for the soil. So the soil factors, we can say that. The climatic factors, if we see, are temperature, light, humidity, wind, water, rainfall, and atmospheric gases. Right. The edaphic factors, as I told you earlier, included the soil factors, soil and substrate, pH, mineral composition, and topography. These are the climatic factors and the edaphic factors. Now, as we have discussed, the ecosystem have two components, the biotic and abiotic, and biotic consists of autotrophs and the heterotrophs. Now, next, we'll discuss what is food chain. The next main point, or we can say a topic, is food chain. As the word suggests, it is a chain of food. So we can say it is a sequential interlinking of organism involving the transfer of food energy from producers to a series of organisms being eaten. This is known as food chain. Now, the next thing, before start dealing with detail in food chain, is trophic level. What is trophic level? No. Trophic levels are the, we can say, the nutrition level or the food level to which a food chain are formed. So there are various trophic level, first trophic level, and on the first trophic level always a producer stands. That is T, is an abbreviated form of donation. Second trophic level which having the consumer and mainly the primary consumer. which is T2. Third trophic level, this will have the secondary consumer. Fourth trophic level, this will have the tertiary consumer. Likewise, you can say the fifth trophic level, we shall have the top consumer or the quaternary, depending upon the size of the food chain. So these are the trophic levels, and when they combine in the form of chain, likewise T1 transfer the energy to T2, T2 to T3, and T3 to T4 and T4. They form a complete food chain. T1 will have the producers, T2 will have the primary consumer, T3 will have the secondary consumer, T4 will have tertiary consumer, T5 will have top consumer. So this is how the food chain are formed from various trophic levels. Next we are going to discuss our types of food chain. Types of food chain. The first type of food chain is grazing food chain. Grazing food chain are mainly those food chain started from the plant. Like the best example, we are going to study about the example in this grassland ecosystem. In this, the food chain started from grass. Grass is eaten by the herbivores and herbivores are eaten by the carnivores. Grass will form the T1, herbivores T2, and the carnivores will form a T3. This is the best grazing food chain in ecosystem. Like grass plant is eaten by the deer, for example, and deer is eaten by the tiger. Energy in the form of food is transferred from a lower trophic level to the higher in the successive manner. Likewise, the second example we can take that of aquatic ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem will have the food chain starting with the phytoplankton. The phytoplankton is eaten by the zooplankton. These zooplanktons are eaten by the small fishes, and these small fishes are eaten by the big fishes. So the phytoplanktons for T1, zoop T2, small fish T3 and big fish T4. The next food chain is detritus food chain. The detritus food chain mainly depends upon dead organic matter. They feed on dead and decaying of plants and animal body. So they mainly compose of, for example, decomposers. And the best decomposers are bacteria, fungus, fungi, and protozoans. Now, the last type of food chain is parasitic food chain. Parasitic food chain have the parasite which lives on the host body. For example, in tree ecosystem, suppose a plant having the birds, and the birds having the parasites inside its body. So they will form, the plant will form T1, birds T2, and parasite T3. So the parasite is an endoparasitic in the bird's body. So parasitic food chain mainly comprises of parasites starting from the large to the small organism. So this is all about the food chain and the trophic levels and type of food chain. Thank you.